This video is brought to you by Ridge Wallet, a slim front pocket wallet available in carbon fiber and titanium. With more than 250,000 sold, a lifetime guarantee and free shipping, get 10% off with the code GOLDFISH at ridgewallet.com. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday. And today we have a deck that is not only super spicy, but it is also budget friendly. $80 in paper, 40 ticks on Magic Online. And this is Red Black Torgaar, and it comes to us from an anonymous player. I don't know why their name was not listed, but someone who top 8'd a small Japanese tournament over at Hallelujah. So congrats to whoever it was. You know who you were, even though I don't know who you were. But the deck is super sweet, kind of like tokeny, historic Torgaar-esh, and I think it's going to be a fun one. So anyway, a quick reminder before we break down Red Black Torgaar for Standard. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Red Black Torgaar is built around Torgaar, Famine Incarnate. So Torgaar is a really unique, really powerful creature. 8 mana, you get a 7/6, which you're like, okay, that's kind of an alright-ish deal, especially when you consider its enter the battlefield trigger, where one player's life total becomes half of their starting life total rounded down, which means if you're down to like 1 life, you get to go up to 10 life. If your opponent's up at 40 life because they gain a bunch of life, you get to set them down to 10 life. In Standard, you just basically set someone's life to 10, whether that means you're gaining life, your opponent's losing life. Either way, it's fine. The big deal about Torgaar, though, is as an additional cost to cast it, you can sack any number of creatures, and Torgaar costs 2 less for each creature you cast this way, which means if you could sack 3 creatures, Torgaar is a 2 black mana, 7/6, that also essentially tens your opponent if it's early in the game, setting them down to 10 life. So it is super powerful, and our deck is built around abusing that ability. So first off, for Torgaar, we have a bunch of creatures that put multiple bodies on the battlefield. So with Torgaar, the way the math works basically, if we sack 1 creature, it's 6 mana, 2 creatures, 4 mana, 3 creatures, 2 mana. After that, sacking more creatures doesn't do anything. So for example, Goblin Instigator makes a 1/1 token when it enters the battlefield. Just Goblin Instigator makes Torgaar cost only 4 mana. PNLR also puts 2 bodies on the battlefield since you get the Thopter. Then you can do other stuff as well. Maybe the sweetest synergy, though, is Weaponcraft Enthusiast, which puts 3 bodies on the battlefield, which by itself means it makes Torgaar cost only 2 mana. So all these cards clog up the board. We can go like 1/1 beatdown with all of our random dorks. Plus, it makes our Torgaar a little bit cheaper. Then, along with creatures that put multiple creatures on the battlefield, we have a couple of just sackable artifact creatures. So Scrappy Scrouger, pretty safe to sacrifice to Torgaar, since we can always pay a couple mana, get it back, pay a couple mana, get it back from our graveyard. And then Sky Scanner draws us a card when it enters the battlefield, so even though we're kind of losing a creature, we're not really losing a card because we drew a card anyway. So more good sacrifice Famine to Torgaar. And then you'll probably notice as well, both Scrap Scrounger and Sky Scanner are artifact creatures, which means they, like Torgaar, count as historic spells, which means we can play Traxos Scourge of Krug as well. So Traxos, 4 mana, 7/7, artifact creature, legendary with trample. The problem is it enters tapped and it doesn't untap, but we have to cast a historic spell to untap it. But since we have Torgaar, which is often going to be 2 mana, Scrap Scrounger, Sky Scanner, we have a lot of ways of untapping our Traxos. And when you combine Traxos with Torgaar, it means we can take advantage, only as a one-of, but still, of Sarkhan's Unsealing, which is a potentially super powerful enchantment. 4 mana, if you cast something with 4 to 6 power, you deal 4 to something. If you cast something with 7 or more power, you deal 4 damage to all of your opponent's stuff. Planeswalkers, creatures, their face, which means whenever we're casting our Torgaar for 2 mana, we're like wrathing our opponent's board, dealing a bunch of damage to their face, hopefully killing some Planeswalkers. Same with Traxos, so a really sweet synergy there as well. We also have Fling, which is a little bit fun funny, but it actually works really well with our Torgaars and Traxos. So if we could like reset our opponent's life total down to 10 with Torgaar, and then maybe get in 4 damage with Sarkhan's Unsealing while we're casting something to get our opponent down to 6, then flinging a Traxos or a Torgaar is going to be enough to just straight up kill our opponent. So we get him some really big direct damage to the face with Fling as well. So really fun big creature synergies. Otherwise, Rite of Bells Unlock is historic, so it's untapping our Traxos. It's putting a bunch of random cleric tokens on the battlefield, which we can sack to Torgaar. And then when we get the 3rd lore counter, we get a massive flying, trampling demon. Sure, it's got to eat some of our creatures to not damage us, but still has a lot of synergy in the deck. For removal, Lightning Strike, Unlicensed Disintegration, pretty standard red-black removal package for standard. In the mana base, we get a bunch of dual lands. Spire of Industry, essentially a painful dual land in our deck since we got a bunch of artifacts. Some basic lands. As far as the sideboard, for control, we get Duress Doomfall and Argu's Bloodfast to do a bunch of card drawing. Then for removal customization, we get a Braid to deal with artifacts, God Pharaoh's Gift, Heart of Kieran's, and so forth. Vraska's Contempt to take down Hazoret, Scarab Gods, Planeswalkers. Cut to Ribbons, removal in the early game, a finisher in the late game. Then for aggro, we have Golden Demise to just wipe away a board of small red creatures, or maybe like vampires, or whatever weird aggro deck you run into. Filigree Familiar, artifacts, so it works with our historic synergies, gains us some life, also draws us a card. And that is red-black Torgaar for standard, and that's been our instant deck for today. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.